She's a one-stop baby. Come on, let another song. Like footsteps to the sea, they dance upon the rising sun. Owls and angels singing, Lord, it fills my soul. Louder and louder, I hear it strong. Faster and faster, fingers on the turn. Tighter and tighter, on the lightning flash. Closer and closer, you know you are so great. And the whole again. Machines make their rounds, don't care they ever see the dawn. Every peaceful flowing river, after the winter's come and gone. Yeah, I feel weak and wounded, long little second song. Lay on, lady at the well, holding roses and some thorns. Louder and louder, idiots and strong. Faster and faster, people's on the turn. Tighter and tighter, on the lightning flares. Closer and closer, you know your water's so great. And the whole again.
Say his name and he appears.
This is a friendship that'll never ever end.
Greetings and welcome to Old School Watch Party Sundays. How you doing, everybody? Hope you're doing and living well out there on Winning Reality. This is Shelly, and we are here tonight to show you a very, very special presentation of a brand new must-see President Donald J. Trump documentary, and you guys are going to love it. Shelly, say hello to everybody.
Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday evening. Get ready for the week of your life. Good
yes, indeed. First, let me thank all those members of the Winner Circle that support the channel on a monthly basis. Your names are scrolling down at the bottom of the screen there. Thank you, each and every one of you. Thank you so much. And special thanks to Shelly and Wolfram, who support us over on Rumble as well. We are, of course, broadcasting live on Rumble X and YouTube tonight, and we'll be staying on YouTube for the duration. Usually we jump over to Rumble and X on Old School Watch Party Sundays, but we are leaving it here tonight because we're just doing a documentary. We're just going to do this documentary. We weren't even going to do a show, and then I figured out that, thanks to Shelly, that this documentary was ready to go. And we have to show this documentary before the election. We have to do it.
I shot myself in the foot.
It was made for it. It was made for it. So it has to be shown. And I'm so happy to have you guys here. A little bit of a weird start. I think that for some reason it didn't want to start up, and now it's got like two versions of it on X. I don't know. One of them will work. So yeah, just watch one of them. Hopefully a lot of people will tune in. I know it's already out there on X. Maybe people have seen it already, but we're going to show it here because we want to share it with you guys and enjoy it together as a one big, happy, wide awake base community. And let's say hello to that awesome crowd out there. Pothead Kenny was here first. Hey, man, so glad to see you hanging out with us, man. Happy to have you as part of the crew. Welcome to the base crowd, man. We're happy to have you here. Wolfram, thank you for dropping these links, all of them. And remember to listen to the wolf. He knows what he's talking about. He wipes his paws, loops it in house, and the alpha mod is here. Welcome, Wolfram. Heidi, how you doing? How you doing? Welcome. Let's see. We got trucking and more. Winning is all like. I think I'm gonna take the night off. Then he's like, "F it, I missed those chatter effers." That, and it was just like this was the one, right? This is the one documentary that could have brought me back in for this evening because we did plan on taking tonight off. We'll take next week off. But this week we had to
tentatively.
Yeah, November is usually one of those months where we are hit and miss on the old school watch party Sundays, but then we're back full force for December with our Christmas movies. So we'll be doing that. And so awesome to see everybody. Lamb's Grace, how you doing? Howdy, haven't watched it yet. All right. I'm so happy you're here to watch it with us. We're gonna have a great time tonight. We're not gonna mess around too long. We'll probably just sit here for a little while, let people roll in, and then we'll start it when we get a good crowd in here. We'll start it up. So we're not gonna look, there's Heidi saying hi. We're not going to go like a full hour on the kickoff show or anything. It's no kickoff show tonight. We're already here. We're in the show. The show's going. We're not going anywhere. And remember that you can watch the new Border Crisis documentary, Line in the Sand. Links are in the description below. Way down beneath all the description for the show. Did I actually put one in here for this? Let's see.
The description? Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Well, see, that's part of the thing. Is Gary had suggested that I start putting long descriptions in here to help get the show out. So I'm taking advice from Gary Franchi. That's why I've got these long descriptions now. But if you keep scrolling down, you'll find the links. And oh no, poor Winnings to Reality. It got taken down over there too last night.
Oh, did it? Damn.
Yeah. We got 70 viewers. We got 70 more people to watch the documentary. So that's what it's all about. Winning Reality went to copyright claim school, and so his strike will come off in 90 days. But the original stream is still live on X, and the documentary only version is still live on BitChute, and that is up to, guys, you're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this. I think last time I checked, it was up to, let's do a refresh here. Up to 1,337 views. That's 1,337 more people we've gotten to watch the documentary. And I've done a little bit of operations there to help that one get out a little bit. But somehow, like within the last 28 to 48 hours, that thing's blown up. So whoever did whatever, man, thank you. And
amazing. See,
you did the good work. I don't know if anybody else got active and put it out there, but if you did, give yourself a pat on the back. You did the good work, because now over 1,300 people have now seen it via the documentary only link on BitChute, and that is awesome, because that's the one you can just throw at anybody. They don't know what they're going to see at first, and then if they get into it, they'll get the information, right? So hopefully that works out, and some people that might not know the truth about things actually get to see it. So there you have it. We're doing the good work.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and in a couple days, we'll let it be, because the election will be through. People still need to know what's going on, and they can see it on their own then. But we're pushing for the election, pre-watches before the election, to hopefully change some hearts and minds, because you can't deny that documentary can do it. Let's see. Potty Kenny says, been pushing you to 2,000. Much love. Anything to help you. You've been doing that? That's awesome, man. If you've been making that happen, dude, you're amazing. You're amazing, man. That's incredible work right there. Incredible work. But I know everybody here has been putting their effort into as well. So thank you guys, everybody that's been helping out in this effort to wake people up about the border crisis, because it really is a monster of a crisis. And it's not, you guys have heard me ramble on about it, but it's not just about, the border being open or this and that. It's corruption to the core. It's big money. It's NGOs. It's children being abused. It's all kinds of things like that that's happening. So that's why it's so important people understand. And it's the establishment media lying to people. And boy, there's a lot of TDS out there right now. Oh my goodness, man. I look around and I see the TDS. I'm just like, wow. It's just, we got a lot of work to do. I don't know how many people in these generations we're going to be able to wake up. Hopefully they'll wake up on their own, but we've got to put our work together after this election to start doing the generational fixes. The generational fixes are what's going to get the job done to block the subversion of cultural Marxism. Yes, beware the woke. Yes, exactly. And we're, that's going to take, they took them generations to ideologically subvert everybody. It's going to take us generations to undo it. And as long as we attack it the right way, we can win. I know we can. So that's what we'll be spending the rest of our days likely doing, Shelley. So
well, I think once we win and we start making all the changes and everything else, when all these people are so opposed and have all these like mental problems and whatever, when they start getting the good nutrition and the help that they need and start feeling better, I think that's going to wake them up to the truth more than any words will ever do. You know, when they're
That's
like, "Oh
very
my
true.
God, I didn't know I could feel like this." That's
Mhm.
an eye opener. It is. So hopefully we'll go that way. You know, let the actions speak for themselves. Let the results speak for themselves. That's all I had to say.
Yes,
Too
and
funny.
while we're warming up here, um, I'd like to point out. Shoot, where did I put that one? There's like two versions out there. So join us. There we go. Let's just do it like that. All right, I'm just adding little links here on the X side. I wanted to point out some extremely good news. Extremely good news. You know, guys, how hard I've been fighting for a decade and a half or more against this fluoride in our water, right? This forced
Mm.
quote unquote medication, right? Uh, let's see. Where's it? This one? Yes, this is it right
Which,
here.
in case you're not in the know, that fluoride does not help your teeth. It's
Yep.
literally
It
there
was
just to make you dumber.
Yep. And guess who's on top of it? Remember when RFK Jr. joined the team? He was talking about cleaning up the food and getting the chronic illness epidemic tackled. And I would say, and the water, and the water, and the water. Well, right there, as you can see, my excitement busting at the seams. Oh yeah, Lamb's Grace, you subscribed to me on BitChute. Thank you so much. That's a channel I don't really push at all. I kind of just use it for stuff like this. But thank you so much for being that one subscriber. I noticed you. I noticed you there. Thank you so much, and thank you for looking and really. I hope you enjoy that movie. And you can share it with some people that it might wake up. That's really what the good work is there, because you'll learn a lot from it. You'll learn a lot from it. And Memento Mori, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. But let me just go ahead and share this real quick.
So, hi,
I'm going to go
honey.
right to this page. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., new hero of the MAGA movement. On January 20th, the Trump White House will advise all U.S. water systems to remove fluoride from public water. Oh my God, is it happening? Ron Paul and then fluoride. Next, the Federal Reserve is going to be on its last legs. We're going to have real money, real food, real water. Everything's going to be real again. We're going to be winning reality, really. Back from this
And once Trump wins, you're not allowed to be in a bad mood ever.
Thank you so much, Lambs. Oh man, I'll be floating on cloud nine. Well, we'll have to see stuff happen though. I have to see stuff happen. We're still gonna have to fight beside them, and we're still gonna have
Never
to do our part.
satisfied.
You got to keep fighting. You got to keep fighting. You got to play to the whistle. You got to run through the finish line. You got to sprint through the finish line, right? But let me finish. Fluoride is an industrial waste associated with arthritis, bone fractures, bone cancer, IQ loss, neurodevelopment disorders, and thyroid disease. And this is all in the documentary that we put out a long time ago. In fact, I added it somewhere down here. I can't remember what it was. Underneath somebody else's. There it is, right there. Right there. Old School Watch Party Sundays, the fluoride deception plus seeds of death. And that one right there is got everything you need to know about the fluoride deception. It was started by the lead industry, and it was assisted by, and this is the guy who did it here. This is why I put it under this dude right here. Obviously cares as much as I do about this. He knows about this. Talks about the fluoride deception, and there it is right there too. And so I just linked it over here. But yeah, Edward Bernays was behind this. The old propagandist, the father of propaganda and marketing deceptions, and public relation deceptions. And there's the book, as you can see right there. This is great news, guys. The fact that RFK is on top of this, RFKJ is on top of this, is so refreshing and so inspiring. I tell you, I'm so excited about this. As an oral physician, I'm curious what fluoride dosage is and over what timelines as you ascribe to these effects. Yeah, well, it's a slow. Think about it, it's a lifetime. You're washing in it, you're brushing your teeth in it, you're cooking with it, you're and boiling it doesn't get rid of it, and
Nope.
and so on and so forth. So it's this slow death. It's a slow creeping uh erosion of your quality of life, and that's what it is.
Hmm.
But yeah,
In case they don't know who Edward Bernays is, he's the grandson of Freud.
mhm.
From Freud and every generation that followed him, they have done huge psyops and like just done whatever they could to subvert our free will and to control whatever we buy, what we look at, what we think is important, what we have to have. They learned how to tap into our desires and needs and
Right.
get whatever they needed out of it. So,
Yes, now remove the seed oils and other food ingredients illegal in other countries. Yes, we have to do that.
Mhm.
Why are we allowed to poison ourselves like that? It's because we've got corruption to the core here. But Robert Kennedy says on October 4th, an Obama-appointed federal judge EPA held against EPA after reviewing thousands of scientific studies and weeks of expert testimony, ruling that the agency had improperly approved this dangerous neurotoxin. Of course, they did, because it allowed the lead companies to dump their waste into our water instead of disposing of it. And they just call it fluoride. It's hydrofluoric acid. It's not good for us, and that's where a lot of the confusion comes in. The sodium fluoride is also in rat poison, so there's it has multiple uses, doesn't it? But yeah, it's really great news. It's really great news that they're on top of this, and that we're going to hopefully see the last of it, because we shouldn't have it. We should absolutely should not have it. And you can go to my page on X, and if you're not on X, I can drop the link in the chat here. But to this one, let's see, I just was okay. I put it in tab. All right. And let me see, grab that one. How much has that one been viewed? 110 views. Not enough. Look, it's back when they had her old logo. But here you go. The floor.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Grimmy.
Gibbs Bar, how you doing? There it is. All right, so that's good news. Good news. I'm happy to see this happening. This is what we were hoping for, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So RFKJ is on top of it, y'all.
Oh yeah. They put out a chart too earlier about the different seed oils and what we need to switch to, like the beef tallow and to coconut oils and stuff like that for the best cognitive function and cholesterol arterial health we can get.
Jacob Castro, what's up, my friend?
Castro.
Yeah, it's great.
Everybody's
Younger
here.
generations, knowing that your grandkids will be able to come up with clean drinking water. Now, not only do we have to get it out, right? We have to filter what's in there already. We need to gravity filter this water and get a new water system that will hopefully take the stuff out that's already been in there, and all the other stuff too. We just need better filtration at the water treatment level, and so people can actually feel comfortable. I mean, think about it like this too. You love your pets, right? Your pets are drinking this shit too. So they're not mine. I got a gravity water filter.
I have filters for my
over 10 years.
my cats are healthier than I am. Well, by a lot. By a lot.
My friend. Good to see you. Outpost nerd.
You know
Good.
what's weird, sweetie? Like one of the little dreams that I have about them change and all this stuff. I want my kids to know what a real banana tastes like. I remember how bananas tasted when I was little, how grapes tasted, how biting into an apple tasted a certain way. And it didn't have that kind of weird film, metallic, I don't know, like plasticky taste to it. Like fruit used to be sweet. It's not really that sweet anymore. It's artificially sweet because it makes you want more sugar, but it's not satisfying anymore. I would love for them to know what real fruit tastes like. You know, without me having to spend an arm and a leg for it.
Yep. Well, you can definitely taste the difference between an organic banana and a
Oh yeah, even Connor said that.
big
He
time.
even said they're a different shape
Mhm.
because organic bananas don't straighten out the way the other, like the fake bananas actually grow straighter because they're just not, they're not grouping the way they do naturally on a organically grown tree. The organic ones bunch closer together, they last longer, and they're sometimes shorter, but they're more curved. And I am really talking about bananas, guys. But like the fake ones are, the peel is so much thicker too. You don't even get that much banana. Did you notice that?
Mhm.
The peels
Yeah,
on them are
it's
super
good
thick.
your taste, like, it leaves like a film on your teeth or something. The,
Yeah.
yeah, not good. Yeah, you can do that, but what about when you're in your house, you know? You can do I have that as backup, right? I have that as backups, but I
They're also
rarely need it.
wasting plastic.
Really, yep. Creating trash. Uh, oh Lord, here come the banana jokes. You knew you weren't gonna get away with that.
Went extinct due to the blight. Listen, you know how many places on this globe grow bananas? All right, a lot of them. A lot. So it wasn't, if one plantation goes down, it's not the end of the industry. They used that so that they could push forward their agenda to make, cheaper, more shelf life durable bananas. That's the problem. They want everything to last forever. Well, the things that we used to eat used to last a lot longer than they do now. But what they don't tell you is it doesn't last when they sell it to you. It lasts in their storage facility so that they
Mhm.
can take their time and put the stuff out. And then once you get it, it's almost done. So, I mean, it only increased their shelf life, not the shelf life once we have it.
I'm getting the documentary ready. Memento
Oh,
says
yeah.
the industry doesn't want to change from seed oils because they are cheaper. Bastards.
Hmm.
It will take regulation to do it. Yep. Or heavy fines. That upsets some conservatives, but they need to understand some regulation is required. Yeah, hey, look, regulation for better health and not better profits for big companies who don't care whether we live or die. That's okay with me. I'll sign off on it any day.
Yep.
Well, at least the bananas that the candy is supposed to taste like. Well, at least the banana that the candy is supposed to. What are you talking about? Oh, Shelly, well, I don't know what you're talking about. All right.
I have no idea
Yeah,
what
McDonald's
banana
doesn't
there is.
mold. It doesn't. It's scary stuff.
I said that on my show on Friday. I said you could put a McDonald's cheeseburger outside and leave it there. Come back in a week. It will not have any bugs on it. It will not have decayed. It just solidifies and dries up. Like
That's
that's all that happens.
right.
If a
If you
bug
just
doesn't want it, don't eat it.
Yep. If you're just getting here, just a reminder, we're getting ready to start the documentary, The Man You Don't Know. This brand new, awesome documentary. Now, before we start it, I just want to say this. The gentleman who made it, we've been covering this documentary being made since before it was released. This guy did an interview with Gary Franchi. It was awesome. And the guy unfortunately had some problems in theaters. And was how they did a big premiere at Mar-Lago. Gary was there for that, and Gary Franchi was there for that. And then they were having some problems with the theaters. Theaters were pulling it. They were saying their seats were broken. They were pulling all kinds of shenanigans, right? And so, when Gary was on for the interview, he mentioned that that was happening while I was there. He goes, well, like with freedom to fascism, we just ended up releasing it for free. That's what I've been saying about Line in the Sand. They should have done the same damn thing. But he said, he says he might have helped that, influence that decision, but the guy released it for free, right? So I was like, it's out there for free. And because of his sacrifice, this is not a monetized stream. I didn't monetize this stream. I'm going with this, I'm going with the same thing, right? I'm going with the same idea.
Altruism.
Yeah, well, I don't hate to say that because that's what the elites try to say they are, but I'm saying that in the
I mean, it's a word.
in the spirit of the sacrifice, I'm there with them, and I did the same thing for Line in the Sand, by the way. I didn't monetize that stream either, at all. So I'm not doing that again tonight, just to let you guys know. So I'm putting it on the record here that I'm with I'm with Christopher. I'm with Christopher Martini on this. Thank you for releasing this, Christopher. You're a good man. You did great work, and we're all going to have a great watch party, enjoying your documentary. We're going to get going here in just a few seconds. Let me take a few more chats, and then we're going to start this documentary. And the world doesn't know what the half-life of a Twinkie is. Marcus, a driver, people should demand clean food. Absolutely, Jacob, absolutely. And we've seen that by bringing down the prices of organics over the course of the last 10 years. Right on, saying hello. I mean, some seed oils like avocado oils are much healthier than other seed oils like canola oils. All right. See, the market just needs to be informed, which the FDA is not helping with. Yeah, we'll change that. We're going to change that, Jacob. We'll make them pay, man. We're going to make them pay. All right. Hey, look, it's Inya. See, I'm glad we waited.
Inya.
There we go. Yeah, we're going to get started here right at the 30-minute mark, which is about 3.5 minutes away. So 3.5 minutes. Make sure you got your drinks. Make sure you got your snacks. This movie runs an hour and a half, and then we'll do a little bit of a follow-up after it's done, and then we're going to have a short night tonight. So, but we're going to have a great night. And we're getting fired up for this week. Now, I want to say before we get started, and I'll say afterwards, just don't, this movie will definitely let you know you're on the right side of things. If you didn't already know already, but I'm sure all of us here do. But don't let the establishment and don't let their useful idiots over the course of the next 2 days demoralize you in any way. We're going to fight, and we're going to win. All right. Yeah. Just remember everything we've seen and we've been through in this last year. Remember that, this great team we got now. Remember how much they've learned. Remember how much they've stopped. Remember how much they've survived. Remember, it's like, just remember everything's going our way. And that is a good thing. That's a good indication that even if they try their best, that not this time. Maybe if they try their best to rig it and to steal it and to enslave us further, not this time. Ain't gonna happen this time. We're gonna do it, and we're gonna ride on through the finish line with a big win together. I'm so happy you guys are here to share it with each and every one of us. Let's see.
Absolutely.
Anything else? Yes. Vote for Snoopy. Right. And hey, I don't know. I've been hearing rumbles that I don't know if it's going to change anything, but maybe that whole peanut incident in New York City may have flipped that state. That would be a surprise, wouldn't it? Some of these places,
the way people are gaga for pets in this country, no, it's not a surprise to me at all.
Well, I mean, we'll see. I hope it does. I really hope it does. I really hope it does. You say Kamala was behind off in peanut.
I mean, it was the Democrat run department in New York. So yeah, it all falls on them.
They're all the same.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, we're got about a minute and 20 seconds till the documentary starts. Just letting you know, fight. Yes, Lamb's Grace. Yes, absolutely. I still think the Senate is just as important. It is. Nobody's telling you it's not. Because the off chance Kamala, knock on wood, we need the Senate to block. Yeah, we're gonna do it, and T-Rex will be here. Remember, we're gonna do coverage, election night coverage. Did I upload the thing yet? I don't think I uploaded it yet. Did I even download it yet?
I didn't see.
No, I didn't do it. I'll show
thumbnail.
You guys.
I didn't see one. No.
I mean, thumbnail for election night already. So I'll give you guys a sneak preview after the documentary. How about that? That'll be something special.
Thank you, Kenny. He said he got it shared again.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Kenny. You're awesome. You are awesome. Unconstitutional and evil, what they did in New York. Absolutely. Well, they are unconstitutional and evil to the core. That's what we fight. So exactly the things we fight against. All right, guys, let's do it. Let's pay it. We're gonna pay attention. Yes, the House and we'll pay attention. All right, guys, here we go. It's time to do this thing. T3 and me are gonna get out of the way and enjoy this awesome documentary. Here we go.
And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
To watch the onslaught of the media, the attacks on my father, the abject lies. It is an onslaught unlike anything I've ever seen before.
The media makes my grandpa seem like a different person, but I know him for who he is.
Donald Trump is a great threat to our democracy.
Donald Trump is the greatest threat the world faces.
And he has to be eliminated.
We're going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
For the past 4 years, this president has shown us that he is a misogynist, that he is homophobic, that he is racist.
You want me to tell you something about Donald Trump that the media doesn't know? How about this? He's a wonderful human being. For the people that don't realize that, I'm here to tell you, I've known the man for over 35 years, and he's one of the greatest people I've ever met. The way he's been demonized is totally, completely opposite of who he is.
I have seen him fight for his employees. I have seen him fight for his company. And now I am seeing him fight for our country.
I always joke with people that, perhaps his biggest political liability is actually that he actually has a lot of empathy. He's done a lot of incredible things for a lot of people, but he's not willing to actually go out there and even talk about it, not take credit for it.
Well, I know the president's my great friend for 20 years, so I have 2 decades with him. He is one of the most interesting, complex, fascinating people that I've ever met.
My father's a man who has a heart of gold. And it's a side that a lot of America does see, and it's sometimes a side that the media doesn't want you to see. He showed up at Grandfather Day at my daughter's school, and she ends up seeing him, runs over, gives his leg the biggest hug, sits in one of the little baby seats right next to her desk, and no one can believe it. Here's the former president of the United States in a kindergarten class.
With all the things going on in the world, he had no place else he would rather be than right there with his granddaughter in her pre-K class. That's who Donald Trump is.
It's just adorable. I mean, he absolutely loves his grandkids.
I believe part of the reason that he's put himself through all that he's been through the hell, through the impeachments, through the indictments, an assassin's bullet, all of it, and is continuing to fight on despite all of the craziness, is for them. It's for his grandkids. It's for your grandkids, your children, future generations of this country.
My grandpa, he is one of the most kindest, special person, even though he's struggling with a lot of the stuff he gets from the media. But that doesn't really bother him at all. He takes really good care of all his family members. He's always there for his family members. Yes, he was the president of the United States, and I think he did an amazing job. But to me, he's just really my grandfather. We do normal things together. We go out and play golf when there's no cameras around, and we hang out. He's just like a normal person to me.
I think my dad as a kid was probably definitely the troublemaker. He grew up in a loving household, but old school, tough. My grandfather, Fred Trump, sort of Germanic, the son of immigrants who immigrated here a couple years before. His father literally went to go make a living during the gold rush up into the Yukon territories and passed away when my grandfather was very young. He was the man of the house. He became the man of the house at 12, 13 years old when his father passed away. The relationship with my grandmother, it was the opposite. She was that loving, nurturing side, sort of the antithesis of his dad.
My grandmother had an incredible backbone and really a force to be reckoned with. She was a remarkable, elegant, sophisticated yet loving person.
So my father sort of got the best of all worlds. He got sort of the drive from my grandfather. He got the personality from my grandmother. She was wicked funny. That created a pretty unstoppable combination for all of the things that he wanted to do.
He had a very alpha personality and always had tremendous work ethic. He wanted to achieve it. And I think a lot of his childhood kind of mirrored that life of his, which is whatever I decide to put my mind to, I want to be the best at. I want to conquer it.
But it was that regimented structure that my father grew up in. So he may have been, the troublemaker gluing his brother's blocks together. The parents said, okay, like we're sending you to military school. He got sent away to sort of military boarding school for his high school years. And I think that sort of channeled all of that energy and focus into something.
The year that I know him best was the year that we were both 17 years old. That's when we lived together in the barracks. I mean, he was just one of these people that you worked really hard for because you never wanted to disappoint him. Not like the other captains where you worked hard for them because you were afraid of them. This man always had an even keel, was sensible, and always was doing what was in the best interests of the Corps. He was the kind of guy that had your back and cared about you. It didn't matter who you were. So everyone in the company, captains near the front door, giving out the mail. Well, when it came to Donald Trump, he knew, he kept it in his head that fellow over there hasn't gotten anything from anybody for 2 months. Because, letters from home, cookies from mom, we got that stuff. But there were some that didn't. And he always knew who it was, and he always had the right thing to say that make everybody, especially that person who was abandoned by his parents, a happier person.
He comes out of that, goes to Wharton Business School. Then my dad decides to change the skyline of Manhattan, and he was able to do that.
The world is made up of people with either killer instincts or without killer instincts. But the people that seem to emerge are the people that are competitive and driven and with a certain instinct to win.
My grandfather gave my father, I believe it was a small loan to basically build Trump Tower. My grandfather was not necessarily thrilled about any of it. He was building middle-income housing in Queens, and it was simple. And to do a gilded tower in the early 80s, that was different. That was unique.
People love to say Donald Trump got a head start with his father. Well, you know what? Everybody starts somewhere. But he knew that what he was doing with his father, he could take and amplify, but he knew that was going to take a lot of hard work to try and make himself a name and put his name on the side of buildings. It is frightening to go out on your own, to break off from a family business, to start a company on your own, to start it in New York City. That's the mecca of everything in the business world.
My grandfather gave my dad that loan to do that, but he'd be on the job sites before anyone, making sure, wondering what was going on, questioning my father. My mom told me about some sort of, let's call it knockout, drag out, verbal brawls between, my father and my grandfather.
If I'm going to dive into real estate, I want to go big. I want to get out of Brooklyn and Queens. I want to go into Manhattan. I no longer want to use bricks as a primary material. I want to use the most expensive glass. I want to redefine what luxury is.
I knew him as a businessman, an iconic individual that was revered worldwide for his entrepreneurship, his focus, his dedication, his tenacity to be able to get things done. He's always about the mission focus and achieving that goal, even if it appeared to be insurmountable.
My father did some incredible things, but he also experienced some pretty significant hardship, at least business-wise. In the early 90s, during that real estate recession, that was a time where banks were foreclosing on everything, and people declared bankruptcy or took the easy way out. And my father's fight that you see, he was never going to do that.
When the world fell apart, we were able to go in and find opportunities like we'd never seen before.
More rip-offs. The savings and loan scandal could cost $500 billion. But in Washington, the big question still is, who gets the blame?
Who knows better about hard times than me? I had a company, it was doing well. I had tremendous debt, like this country. And in 1990, the whole country, it just went very, very bad.
Summer night. Don't be no fun. Don't forget you're young.
He says, I've seen some of the greatest business minds in the world and some of the smartest people I know never achieve because they gave up. You can never quit. You can never give up. And I think that's been his mantra. And Donald Trump really is the epitome of never giving up.
With construction workers, he'd get to know those people really well. I think there was a reason my dad was able to relate to regular Americans. The billionaire from Manhattan in the gilded office, but the reality, he was a great developer because he actually spent time with the workers and he listened to them.
He would ask people on the work level what their thoughts were, ideas, concepts, designs. There was almost like a Socratic sort of first principles type of way he questioned people, trying to reduce complex things to something really fundamental.
He always wanted to go to the people who were actually the doers. That's where Donald Trump always got his information, and those people always loved my father. They always respected him. To them, he epitomized the American dream. He epitomized success. He epitomized what they could be, the lifestyle maybe they wanted to live. Those were his people, and those people stay with him today. My mom was the ultimate compliment for my father. He was a all-American meat and potatoes type guy, and she was very old world, European, very different. She did so many things well. She was a world-class skier. She was a fashion icon.
You have to have a confidence. You also have to have a fairly good body.
This is a woman who had lived an amazing life in her own right, escaped communism.
She was a great business mind. She was a great mother to obviously all of us.
You have that Eastern European toughness and that American tenacity from President Trump. And it kind of created these perfect examples of kids that know how to be loving, but know how to be tough.
The media loved her. The media loved them. They became such a formidable force. They became such an unbelievable pair.
She was able to push him the right way. Calm down. We're going to get this going. We're going to do it right. You can come in and do your thing, but focus on that next deal. I'll clean up the mess. I'll organize.
She put so much elegance on so many of the projects and certainly put our mark, and a mark that still lasts in the company today. And they were the ultimate power couple.
I was born on New Year's Eve of 1977. And as she's going into labor, he basically told her, listen, if you get him out before midnight, I'm going to send the limo to pick you up. Otherwise, you're taking the taxi home. The joke being that he could get the full year write-off. It was like $300 at the time, right? But he could get the full year tax deduction for a dependent if I was born before New Year's Day.
He made us work at a really young age. We were 11, 12 years old, and we started working on our construction sites, and we'd be running conduit or doing everything that you could possibly imagine. His kids were spoiled. We lived in Trump Tower. We went to Mar-a-Lago on weekends, but at the same time, he wanted us to have real skills. He wanted us to understand the value of a dollar. He wanted us to understand how money was created, how hard it was to actually earn, why you never squander it. The best lessons of my life have come working for the guys who, many of whom actually work for me today. They taught us the skills we needed to be good at real estate and to survive in that world. And a lot of those people, I think, gave us the fight that we have today.
As children growing up, the number one thing was, no smoking, no drinking, no drugs, and don't trust anyone.
And by the way, you better get good grades.
I was the guy that coined the phrase for him as the blue-collar billionaire. And people were like, that's ridiculous. But when you break him down, he's actually just a regular guy. He's a great athlete, loves to watch sports. He'll sit there, eat a pizza in bed, watching a ball game. That's sort of his happy place.
My father was the guy who, no matter what, always picked up the phone. And he's still like that today.
Months after it opened, the Taj Mahal missed one of its debt payments, and Trump began looking for a bailout.
His empire could be at risk of collapse if the New Jersey Casino Commission decides not to approve Trump's bailout plan.
He said, I think Donald Trump is an artful liar. I think he is a greedy, vicious, and arrogant man.
Well, I don't know, is that supposed to be a compliment or not?
He's done a lot of incredible things for a lot of people, but he's not willing to actually go out there and even talk about it.
The Wallman skating rink in Central Park is open again. The city spent nearly 6 years and $12 million trying to fix it. And then to the rescue, developer Donald Trump. As Tracy Egan tells us now, he accomplished in 3.5 months what the city couldn't do in 6 years.
We have this incredible capacity for generosity, jumping in to save ice skating in New York for the children.
You performed a great public service.
The amount of stories that we have of the things that he's done that have changed people's lives forever that he just won't even talk about, won't even acknowledge with us, is sort of amazing.
I first met then the Donald in 1990. I had a residency at Trump Castle in Atlantic City. I walked up, I go, Mr. Trump, Frank Stallone. Hey, Frank, how are you? Welcome to Trump. Couldn't have been nicer. My mother was an astrologist, so she wrote this book called Star Power. And she went to Atlantic City to sell her books or promote her books. And Donald Trump found out about it. And I think he bought 200 books and gave them out to the employees.
The farm's been in our family for 5 generations with my dad. Started in 1982 with drought, but it went 3 consecutive years, so he was $300,000 in debt. So it's going to go before the courthouse. Normally on Wednesdays, my mom would go grocery shopping, and he said, please don't go this morning. So she felt something was wrong, but she stayed. And then 20 minutes before the courthouse of the foreclosure of the farm, she heard a gunshot, and he shot himself. It was on the news, and that just happened to be the news that Trump watched. So he was watching it with his first wife, Ivana, and he just said to her, somebody needs to really help this family to save this farm. And she said to him, why don't you do it? So he did.
And I paid off our mortgage. Big deal, right?
He didn't know us. He didn't have to do any of this.
We
He did
didn't
it
have
out
a
of
clue who he was.
kindness of his heart. Now, what I want y'all to know is how kind-hearted and caring he is. He cares about America. He cares about farmers. He cares about veterans.
I was assigned to investigate a serial rapist that was attacking women on the Upper East Side of New York. There were 16 women who were attacked, And we desperately wanted to catch this guy. We wanted to do a mailing, which was a flyer and suspect information, to the neighborhood. The department couldn't afford to do that mailing. It was very expensive. It was $40,000. And I contacted Donald Trump. Within 2 days, Donald Trump said that he would give the money willingly and without the blink of an eye. He stood up to support not only the cops, the detectives, but more importantly, the women who were attacked at gunpoint by this rapist. And he didn't seek credit. He didn't seek anything from it. He didn't seek publicity at all. I mean, I thought it was just a very noble thing for somebody to do.
I was Miss Wisconsin USA in 2005. I just want to say thank you. You saved me in so many ways. I've been struggling with an incurable illness, and I wanted to thank you because through you and your organizations provided my son, who is Mexican American, 7 years old, when he graduates high school with a full ride to college.
Businessman Donald Trump married former model Melania Nas at the Bethesda by the Sea Episcopal Church in Palm Beach, Florida.
The relationship my father has with Melania is unparalleled.
We had a great chemistry when we met in 1998.
She's been incredibly supportive. He values her tremendously. He values her opinions tremendously. She's very direct, which is always fun to watch. He's an incredible doer, but he's also an incredible showman. It's beyond being part of Hollywood. I want to dominate Hollywood. I want to have the longest running show on reality TV.
And he could. It was very natural for him. It was easy for him to do it. He's been doing that essentially his whole life. I think he had the perfect combination of serious business person, but humor, wit, more importantly, I think relatability and authenticity. Whether you like him or not, he is who he is, and the show made him relatable to the American populace.
He's always had an amazing voice. He's always had a strong voice, and he's always had an incredible following. He was always on the front page. He always had that charisma or that spark.
The evolution from business into entertainment, which was still business, into politics was sort of this natural role.
It's a shame what's happening. Japan, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, everybody's taking advantage of the United States. People know that if certain people are running a country, that it won't happen.
You've said, though, that if you did run for president, you believe you'd win.
Tell you what, I wouldn't go in to lose. I've never gone in to lose in my life. And if I did decide to do it, I would say that I would have a hell of a chance of winning, because I think people, I don't know how your audience feels, but I think people are tired of seeing the United States ripped off.
I can't tell you how many times I've been in the room with my father where he'd be reading a paper and he'd look down, I can't believe this is America. You know, the United States is 30th in the world in education. He looked at me, how the hell can we be 30th in the world in education? We're in the United States of America. We should be number one in education. We should be number one at absolutely everything we do because we're the United States of America, and that's what's expected of the greatest superpower in the world. He's sitting there shaking his head saying, how the hell can we do this? I mean, this is a country where literally on the streets of Tehran, they're chanting death to America, and we have an administration who's giving $150 billion to Iran. Things like that fundamentally bothered him. They bothered him in a massive way. I truly believe if we had competent leadership in this country, he would have never run for president.
One of the true sort of rare moments of emotional clarity was the day my father announced. Before the infamous escalator ride down to make his announcement speech, there was an elevator ride. As the doors are closing, he just said, now we find out who our real friends are.
And we're going to get hit in ways that we could never possibly imagine.
He knew he was going to break some eggs, and man, was he ever right.
Well, you need somebody, because politicians are all talk, no action. Nothing's going to get done. They will not bring us, believe me, to the promised land.
You know, we always talked about what the deep state was. We always talked about drain the swamp. Everybody's heard those words, and get rid of the old, put in some new thinking.
I am officially running for President of the United States
My father was thinking, I don't want to go into office and become a mayor or a congressman. I mean, I want to go in and my first trial, I want to become president of the United States of America. You know, forget the fact that I've never done it on any level. I want to go for the ultimate prize.
But if I get elected president, I will bring it back bigger and better and stronger than ever before, and we will make America great again.
When I saw Donald Trump come down, I went, oh, heck, it's on now. Knowing where Donald's at as far as business and cunning and cutting deals, and I started thinking, boy, he's in for it now. I hope he realizes what he's getting into. You know, he's so popular, and he's got this built-in following. He's going to win.
He has been successful in his own right. He could have retired, played golf for the rest of his life with the most stunning wife by his side. But instead, he decided to fight for this country, fight for his family and the future of his grandkids.
Making that decision, and I know a lot about politics, is an incredibly difficult one because you lose yourself, you lose your life, you lose in some way part of your identity because people try to shape you, they try to vilify you. He did it because he can't stand to see things not done the right way. He's not the type of person to stand by on the sidelines and see a 10-car pileup. It was incumbent upon him to give back, to do something to save this country, because this is a man who didn't just live the American dream, he defined it and he owned it.
He knew if he came out and he said what he needed to say and did the things he needed to do to run for president, some people were not going to like it.
I'll never forget that when we got back upstairs, we were all on cloud 9 because we're thinking, this was the greatest speech ever. The intern that we had left kind of answering the phone was like in tears. Companies are canceling contracts left and right. She's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. Watching Eric, Ivanka, and Don sort of mobilize. They immediately jumped on the phone and started trying to figure out what was going on. To see them go from sort of panic to suddenly game on. This is a family who I've had the honor of seeing embraced by the world to suddenly seeing them be pariahs, outcasts.
The people that were friends for life and people, 3 weeks ago we had a dinner with him, but now he's on the Republican ticket and now he said some things that are true, but maybe tough. He knew it was going to happen and he did it anyway.
You never want phony people around you, and those that have remained by our side and are still our friends today, those are the real ones. Those are the true people.
Donald Trump is here tonight. Obviously, we all know about your credentials and breadth of experience.
I'll never quite forget the moment at the White House Correspondents' Dinner where my father's sitting there. Barack Obama gets up on the stage and starts cracking jokes.
Say what you will about Mr. Trump, he certainly would bring some change to the White House.
And there's one person in this room that will never be president, and that's Donald Trump. Look at my father, I could see his competitive spirits. Don't tell him he can't accomplish something. Don't tell him he can't achieve something. I can't tell you how many people have lost serious money betting against Donald Trump.
My kind of country has a Trump and a JFK. An NAACP and an NRA.
One of the things I love and admire so much about President Trump is he really has a unique ability to inspire people.
I've never supported a president my whole entire life like I have with this one.
I really, truly think that he's doing a good job, and that's why we all want to be up here and show our support for him.
We're here to support Donald J. Trump. That's what he does. So when you go to these rallies and you see people stand out in the rain,
I mean, I think it's super important to come out and support our president right now. Nobody else is, so we have to.
which is what's made him one of the most inspirational figures that we have seen in this country. And that is why people will always stand and fight for President Trump.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
Here was a guy.
It's my favorite line.
Probably knew them a little too well for their comfort level. knew the promises that they make to people to get the big money out of them.
He has not paid a penny in federal income tax.
All of her donors, just about all of them. I know Buffett took hundreds of millions of dollars. George Soros, took hundreds of millions of dollars. Let me just explain. All of her donors, most of her donors have done the same thing as I did.
Okay. And then all of a sudden, 17 people running for president every day. One would fall, the next one would fall. And the amazing thing to me about every one of those people on stage were career politicians. He wasn't a politician at all. It's the it factor. It's like almost like a Muhammad Ali. No matter who he's fighting, he could get into your head, and then you're going, uh-oh, maybe I am in trouble here. He's like an immovable train. That's why they call it the Trump train. He's like the Teflon Don. You can't get to him. I mean, what's he sleep, 3 hours a day? So he's constantly moving ideas. He's a Gemini. He's two people. He's the twins. So he can multitask like nobody's business. And, you know, at his age, young people say, I can't keep up with him.
The best piece of advice my grandpa always gave me was always stay away from drugs and alcohol. His brother Fred passed away from it.
I had a brother, Fred. He had a problem with alcohol. And he would tell me, don't drink, don't drink. He was substantially older, and I listened to him. And to this day, I've never had a drink. But he really helped me. I had somebody that guided me. And he had a very, very, very tough life because of alcohol, believe me.
He never wanted to go through that ever again with any of us, and I would never do any of that stuff either, just because I've seen what it has done to my family.
Immigrants on the whole create...
Come on, try getting it out. Try getting it out.
I'll get it out.
I mean, I don't know if you're going to put this on television, but you don't even know what you're talking about. Try getting it out. Go ahead.
Trump's very media savvy. I mean, he's hilarious. Honestly, like I can never get enough of watching a Trump interview or a Trump rally. He's the most entertaining guy.
The late, great Hannibal Lecter is a wonderful man. He oftentimes would have a friend for dinner.
He's kind of like that uncle at Thanksgiving.
This is a tough business to run for
I know.
president.
You're a tough guy, Jeb.
He says what is on everyone's mind, whether it's controversial or not, or it might offend some people or hurt some people. It's the truth, right?
We need law and order, and we need law and order in the inner cities.
I think people get a little bit tired of politicians who BS them with tired talking points, with political platitudes that are quite frankly insulting to everyday hardworking men and women in this country.
You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables.
What became very refreshing about Donald Trump is the fact that he kind of talked like we all talked. Man, he was not a politician when he went out and announced he was running for president. And he said, no, I'm not going to read some pre-scripted speech for me. I'm going to talk straight to the American people, and I'm going to talk about the problems that no one is addressing, that no one has the guts, quite frankly, to bring up to you, but I will do it.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime.
People were like, this is what we need. You need a cheerleader for America. You need somebody who believes in this country and is going to fight for this country. They were done with the elites in the political class talking down to them instead of talking with them. And that really resonated with people.
Never are you ever going to be able to predict him. Never are you going to be able to put him in a box. He's completely multifaceted, and it's like watching a movie that you can't take your eyes off of.
12,000 people still coming in. They're going to take 3 people and say, oh, the protests were unbelievable.
He doesn't fit into any of these traditional categories, which makes him someone who is a little bit frightening, someone who thinks outside the box, someone who is a disruptor, someone who isn't afraid to challenge authority. Can be terrifying to people that want to maintain control.
Donald Trump has been perhaps the most vulgar, no, I don't think perhaps, the most vulgar person to ever aspire to the presidency.
He's a wrecking ball when it comes to policy, and the way he's engaged the public is hurting the Republican Party.
The simple fact is he doesn't have a plan. He's not a serious candidate.
I think the play was, let's knock this guy out early. This is ridiculous. Donald Trump will never be president of the United States. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's not a politician. And they thought that if they went hard after him in those first couple of weeks, that it would absolutely decimate him. And he'd be like, oh, I can't do it. This is too much for me. Little did they know, that is not Donald Trump.
Donald Trump seems to have elevated political trolling to an art form. His preferred medium, Twitter. Day and night, Trump baits, criticizes, and antagonizes his rivals.
He fights, he's combative. Tone it down a little bit. How does that go over?
Well, we could see it.
Some people go, oh, I don't like his tweets. I do. Maybe because I grew up in show business and I'm somewhat sarcastic myself. I find it funny.
Watching a media that had been so friendly to him that he had had a great relationship would just turn on a dime. They're not journalists anymore. They're simply regime propagandists.
This was a media that loved him. They would have lunch with us in Trump Tower. They would come to Mar-a-Lago. They'd be in his office.
Excuse me, where's the lobby?
Down the hall and to the left.
Thanks.
This was a man that was in Home Alone. This was a man that was loved by Whoopi Goldberg.
She even put me in her movies. She put me in her movies, right? A long time ago. And how much did I charge? Nothing.
Like they say in the comments.
He was asked to be in every Pizza Hut commercial. My father kept NBC alive with The Apprentice. They were dying. They had no shows. The other networks were eating them alive. And the minute he went down that escalator, those people turned their backs. It was a light switch. You can never believe that somebody could turn on somebody so quickly for simply affiliating themselves with a different party.
At the end of the day, he's in a fight for his life. He's in the fight to save this country, to save our way of life.
And the only way I can see it fix is to rid ourselves of these politics. Drain the swamp, smoke them out, bleed them. But if you still believe in America, let me see you stand up.
I don't understand where now Make America Great Again, why people vilify that. You're an American. It's supposed to be America first.
Everybody stand up.
Donald doesn't want to go back to the way it was. He wants to go to the way it should be. If we put God first again, if we put it in our schools, our homes, Jesus Christ says that if you repent, I will heal the land and heal the people.
My father's political evolution was sort of an interesting one. If you go back, you can see him in the 1980s. He was always on point. Same thing. He's like, hey, other countries are taking advantage of us in trade. America's getting ripped off. Our politicians are incompetent. He'd been talking about these issues for 30 years.
I think a lot of people are tired of watching other countries ripping off the United States. Why aren't these countries, these wealthy money machines, paying us for the defense of their freedom and their nations? I'd make our allies pay their fair share. Kuwait, they live like kings. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
There's virtually nothing he said in any interview dating back 20 years that didn't materialize. Going back to the construction worker and the electrician and all the people that my father knew so well, he figured out in politics that government was leaving behind everyday Americans. And we were losing our jobs, we were losing our manufacturing, we were losing everything. People couldn't afford to live, people could no longer afford upward mobility. The American dream was being lost. And he saw that firsthand.
More and more products acceptable to the more and more exacting demands of more and more Americans.
We're from the same era. When I grew up in the 50s, everything was made here. TVs, radios, washing machines, cars, everyone had jobs. He saw everything being tossed out of this country.
He was disgruntled because he felt that the average American worker was getting taken advantage of. They were getting the shaft because of the policies that benefited so many of the rich.
And he came out and said, listen, you're not going to be forgotten about. I'm going to be your voice. You're going to have representation in Washington, D.C. I don't care about these lobbyists. I don't need their money. I can't be bribed. I can't be coerced.
And when Bush gets $100 million plus, and when Hillary gets $50 million plus, every one of those people that put up money will control Bush.
My father's a man of action. You can only talk smack from the sidelines for so long before you actually have to get in the game.
We will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again.
He's just a man speaking the truth to all of us. And for anybody else that doesn't understand that, you're voting for the end of America.
You have people coming through the border that are from all over, and they're bad.
Hey,
they're
Kim.
really bad.
Nerd.
July 12, 2012, my only child, my son Dominic, my best friend, called himself German Chocolate, was on his way to work for the Sheriff's Department as a 911 dispatcher, and he was hit head-on by an illegal alien with 2 felony convictions, 2 DUIs, and 5:45 a.m. My son's brilliant life ended, and my nightmare started. The media stayed away. Nobody wanted to talk about Dominic. After his death, it was just a void in my life. I started to become suicidal. I didn't want to live anymore without him. I got a call from the Trump campaign, and they said that Donald Trump, the candidate, would love to meet me. And as I was telling him about losing my best friend, I could see him tear up, and he asked us to come with him. We walk in the room, and there's media all over, and he taps me on my shoulder, and he says, "Go ahead, honey, tell your story." Then all of a sudden, I felt my son's hands on my shoulders like he was behind me and said, "Now, Mom, now or never." And I shared his story, and I shared what an amazing man he was. Donald Trump didn't just save my life. He helped me share my Dominic. And now the world knows Dom's mom.
Donald Trump is truly the definition of the American dream for a lot of people. He was written about in rap songs.
Take over the world when I'm on my Donald Trump. Look at all this money. Ain't that some?
Donald Trump is what Americans aspire to be. Rich, powerful, do what you want to do, say what you want to say. The American dream.
I've worked for the Trump family for about 17 years now. I started off as a personal assistant for Eric Trump and ended up running his charity for St. Jude called the Eric Trump Foundation at the time. Working for the Trump family, we quickly became very close. And over the years, we started to establish a deep, deep trust. It starts off with, "Lynn, do you think this tie looks good?" To Lynn, what do you think of this carpeting? To Lynn, I'm going to run for president of the United States. So the transformation going from basically a staffer in their office to truly becoming a friend and then a part of the family was something that I never anticipated, but they made me feel like I belonged with them from day one.
Hillary Clinton unloading on Donald Trump, saying, quote, he is taking hate groups mainstream.
The race baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot.
Trump thinks he can win votes by fanning the flames of fear and hatred.
Advocating racist ideas.
Donald Trump has built his campaign on prejudice and paranoia.
When people ask me, especially as a Black female, how can you work for this racist, this misogynist for as long as you have? And I have to always begin by saying that racist people raise racist children. Bigotry is taught.
When I met him, he touched me with strong, I'm Donald J. Trump. Then I stood by his daughter, Ivanka, and it was time to pray. And I say, let me test it again. We were holding hands. She reached out for my hand and she said, let's pray. And she held my hand. I say, a racist man's child would never.
As a Black person, you spend your whole life detecting even the most subtle hints of racism. That is something that I can genuinely say I have never experienced in the 16, 17 years I've been with them.
Are you
I am
racist?
the least racist person that you have ever met.
I've never heard them make a disparaging comment about Hispanics, women, Jewish people. Donald J. Trump has done more for the state of Israel than any modern day president, whether it's recognizing the sovereignty of the Golan Heights, to delivering on the 1993 promise to move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem and declare Jerusalem the state capital, to funding the Iron Dome, the Abraham Accords. It became evident that there were some documented hate groups that embraced Donald Trump.
In the good old days, law enforcement acted a lot quicker than this. They'd rip him out of that seat so fast.
And I remember being kind of struck by this because I'm like, what did he say or do?
They pull on the heartstrings of Black people. That's what they do because they want the vote. Black people are like, oh my God, once you tell somebody that older white man is racist, it's over. They get nervous, they get scared, and I understand. I was on that side. But once you really do your research, and it's right there in front of you, you don't have to dig deep. You'll know that Donald Trump is not a racist. We have to look at what's real and what's not. They're brainwashing us, and we need to find out the truth.
This is a man who, quite frankly, had been very close to Al Sharpton, very close to Jesse Jackson. In fact, Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Coalition lived rent-free in one of Trump's buildings because of Donald Trump, recognizing how important that movement was. He's done more for Black Americans than any other modern-day president in my lifetime, from having the lowest Black unemployment, funding historically Black colleges, to the First Step Act, which released more than 15,000 nonviolent felons. He also banned federal no-knock warrants, banned federal chokeholds. This is a man who put me, a Black female who's worked for his family for 15, 16, 17 years, in charge of the largest housing program in the United States, which is Federal Region 2, New York and New Jersey. These are not acts of a racist.
We commemorate the return of historic Native American artifacts and sacred remains to American soil.
President, your leadership through other initiatives underscores your commitment to Indian country and Alaska Native communities. Thank you.
How long have they been working on this from the beginning, from its original start?
For at least 70 years.
70.
Yes.
I'm glad we got it done. It took 70 years, but we got it done.
Trump is the man. How has he been to you over the years? I never had a bad moment with him.
Trump is bringing the Republican Party back to where it originated, which is everybody's an American. You're not a Black American. You're not a Latino American. You're American. This is a man who does not see Black or white, but rather, in my opinion, sees success or failure.
My voice is going to be heard with this president.
Your comments, your fun, whatever you're doing, I'm looking at the policies. I'm looking at what you're getting implemented. I'm looking at what you say you're going to do next.
I think what scares them is that he elevates people not based on their skin color, but because of the fact that he recognizes within you your capabilities. He saw in me something that I didn't even see in myself. He always teases me, Lynn, don't ever make me fire you because my kids will never talk to me again.
Thank you, Al. Wow. That was good. Great senators. Hi, Chuck. He used to love me when I was a Democrat, you know.
Everybody loved Trump before, right? He was the man, right? But the second he starts to threaten, you know, who really runs this stuff, it's interesting how it just flips.
Now at 11, the knockout blow. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton cruising to key victories tonight in Florida. Donald Trump claiming a dominant victory and all of the state's 99 delegates.
When he started climbing the polls, because Americans understood that he was right, that's when it became a controversy.
The questions about the Russians and do I think they're trying to help Trump?
They spent $30 million trying to find something on him. They weren't looking for Russian collusion. They knew from the beginning there was no Russian collusion.
They were looking for him spitting in the subway.
If you go back and look at the timelines of when they started trying to take him out, it's when he actually gained, a foothold, when he was actually a threat to the powers that be, perhaps on both sides. This is a challenge to the status quo.
Trump is a phony, that Trump is a pathological liar.
They couldn't define him, they couldn't understand him, and they couldn't control him.
I humbly and gratefully accept your nomination for the presidency of the United States. I am with you. I will fight for you, and I will win for you.
He knew what was going to happen, and man, was he right. But we didn't think we'd be dealing with them trying to jail us. You had no idea how vicious these people could be. You can sort of, back in a corner and hide, or you can get out there and fight.
They're not after me, they're after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way.
His message really rattled their agenda of globalization. You'll own nothing by 2030 and you'll be happy. You won't own your own home, you won't own your own car, you'll eat the food we tell you to eat. They want the country the way they want it to be. The few elites that are controlling everything in this country.
I think a lot of politicians are getting favorites, special treatment. Hey, I'd like to put up this building, but I can't get the zoning. Hey, if I give you $400,000, can you sign off the zoning? Him, you can't do that. You can't buy him. You don't have enough money to buy him.
Election night, 2016. That morning, you woke up and the New York Times had you at sub 10% chance of winning.
This is where we stood coming into the night, 268 to 204. So clearly an advantage for Secretary Clinton.
They say that Donald Trump doesn't have a chance, that his poll numbers were going to be terrible, that he couldn't beat Hillary Clinton.
We project that Hillary Clinton will carry her home state.
And I'm sitting there saying, how does somebody in a studio in Times Square know more than I do when I'm sitting out there and I see the momentum and I see the people?
That night, for me, for him, it was like, we're going to overperform, but it was a good run. We threw everything at it, but how do you overcome the Clinton machine?
Donald Trump wins the great state of North Carolina. Donald Trump wins the great state of Florida. Donald Trump wins the great state of Pennsylvania.
Everybody take a deep breath.
Capping his improbable political journey with an astounding upset victory.
Donald Trump surpassing the 270 electoral votes. It has been a stunning night. It has been a historic night. It's one that many people simply will not believe.
November 8th was truly the greatest vindication that his message was right, that the American people adored my father, that the American people believed in our family and everything that we stood for and everything that we fought so hard for.
When he won, we were all at Trump Tower, and I just remember him winning, and then we walked on the stage and changed the course of history.
Sometimes the dog catches the car. I knew we were going to overperform. I didn't know we'd overperform by that much.
The 45th president expected to start issuing executive orders as early as today, trying to turn his campaign promises into reality.
Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime.
Kim Jong-il was looking at him like this, like a rock star. He's John Wayne. Putin was like, oh my God, here's the head of Russia, this dictator. And he walks up, how you doing there, pal? Pats once back. To me, I love that because it makes me feel safe.
We will rebuild our military and alliances, destroy terrorists, face our enemies head on.
I think his view has always been, I don't want world leaders to think I'm a nice guy. I lose leverage in the negotiation if I'm a nice guy.
Do you want someone who's going to stand up to Kim Jong-un? Do you want someone that's going to stand up to Putin? Or do you want somebody that's going to take a knee every time and leave America behind?
You came because our nation needed you, and they needed you right here. The men and women of our military are totally loyal to our country, and every day I am president, America will always be totally loyal to you.
My son loved this country very, very much, and he gave his life painfully.
You take care of him. He's looking down. He's very proud.
Thank you so much.
I was an Army veteran for 7.5 years, diagnosed with bladder cancer, stage 3. I asked the doctor, I said, what are you going to do? You going to cut me here or here or what? And they're like, no, if we do that, as soon as we open you up, you're dead in 10 minutes. Is it that bad? And he said, yeah, it's bad. He goes, well, we're going to start you on a very extensive chemotherapy. And I was telling my wife, I said, we haven't even got a bill yet. So I called them and they said, your bill's been paid. And I said, what do you mean it's my bill's been paid? I haven't made a payment on that yet. They said, you know Donald J. Trump? And she said, your bill's, it's been paid. So I owe him that.
Damn.
And I told Shane, one of these days, I want to meet that man, look him in the eye, shake his hand, and tell him thanks for saving my life.
That's his heart. Beautiful heart.
I heard that story, and I said, that's a story the world should hear about a great son. I didn't think you were going to be giving your money to anybody except yourself. That is a tremendous story of the love of a father by a son. You just don't see it often.
The President of the United States pressured a foreign leader to investigate one of his leading political rivals.
The impeachments were incredibly unfair. At the same time, he knew exactly why they were doing it. They were threatened by him.
You're impeached forever. You're never getting rid of that scar.
I see the daggers. I see the impeachments. I see all this crazy stuff which they've never done to anybody else. And the empire of Donald Trump is so big and it's so powerful. No matter how bad you cut him up, no matter how many scars you put on him, you cannot destroy the man. My Lord and Savior, the most perfect man in this world, Jesus Christ, was crucified for being a good person. And Donald Trump is getting beat down and crucified simply because he's doing the right thing. He wants one nation under God. He wants God in our country. He wants God in our schools. He wants God in our homes. And for that, he's the evil one.
CNN projects Joseph R. Biden Jr. is elected the 46th president of the United States, winning the White House and denying President Trump a second term.
They knew they couldn't win, so they said, let's go to court. I've been saying this from the day I heard they were going to send out tens of millions of ballots.
Election day 2020 was filled with total disbelief, maybe anger in certain ways. We didn't lose. We had 13 million more votes the second time. There was more enthusiasm. The crowds were greater. Our country was doing great. Lowest unemployment we'd ever seen. Best economy this country had ever seen. Came out of COVID stronger than the country had been going in. He had fought for this nation. He had gotten us out of wars. He had restored the economy. He had restored pride in our nation. No one believed that a person who hid in the basement for an entire campaign cycle magically got tens and tens of millions more votes than Barack Obama. If my father thought he lost fair and square, there's no way he would have run again. There's just no way.
Pardons and commutations. Sources here at the White House tell us that President Trump could issue up to 100 of them.
Young black kid from Gary, Indiana. I chose boxing. Now I'm winning all the tournaments, and then I end up getting hurt. I mean, I hate to say it, but I took the shortcut. I did something that I knew was wrong. And I started working for these Mexican guys, and you know, I was dropping off packages for them, and I broke the law and ended up getting arrested. And they sent me away for a nonviolent drug crime. My first arrest in my life, I started doing a double life sentence. I left my 2-year-old son, Charles Jr., at home with his mom. My son didn't even want to learn how to ride a bike. He said he wanted me to teach him how to ride a bike. He taught himself how to ride a bike. But in 2018, I had a dream. And I had a dream that the president was gonna be the one to let me out. 2018, he did the First Step Back bill. What people don't know is that First Step Back bill has helped over 30,000 men and women come home early from their sentence. And on October 21st, 2020, I didn't get the First Step Back. He granted me clemency before the election. I'm sitting here today because of that. The president gave me another chance, and I came home pushing fatherhood to where I was able to teach my son every action has a reaction. And I'm so thankful.
21 years ago, I was a Border Patrol agent in Eagle Pass, Texas. And me and my partner were responding to some sensor traffic. We came upon a group of 15 illegal aliens. They started running. I was yelling for them to stop, chased them for 1.5 miles, and I was losing ground. The trainee agent caught the group, and he was trying to get them to sit down. So I ran up on him, put my hand on my weapon like I was taught, and used my leg as an extension of my arm, and I pushed them, knocked them on their ass from the squatting to the sitting position. Well, apparently that move landed me in prison for 27 months because it says it violated their civil rights. I got jumped by the Mexican population in prison. In 2006, I got out of the prison. In December of 2020, I had applied for a pardon.
Gary, we wanted to wish you the very best of Christmases and let you know that the president granted you a full pardon about an hour ago. And no, it's all done. You are fully pardoned.
Our great president, Donald J. Trump, our 45th president of the United States, granted me a presidential pardon. And my mom was around to see it.
She's sitting right here next to me, looking at me, and she's like, "What happened?" She's like, thinking something bad's happened. Well, the president gave me a pardon. The president gave me a pardon.
It's changed my life.
Everyone in politics, they make their promises, they say all the things they're going to do. Trump actually did those things.
I remember we landed in Palm Beach after leaving DC, and everybody was kind of quiet on the plane. We didn't really know how to feel about things. He was very down. We were all very down. And as we were getting off the plane, he turned to all of us and he said, "Well, kids, I got to do it again. I'm not done. This country needs me."
I worked the majority of my adult life as a prosecutor, and if they can do it to Donald Trump, they can do it to any American sitting at home watching their television. Weaponizing our most beloved institutions is something that should never be done against another American citizen in this country.
The constant onslaught of he's the greatest threat to democracy ever faced. He's worse than Hitler. He's got more indictments and more convictions than Al Capone. Whether it's, $500 million in fines here or possible, 750-year jail sentences here, and he's playing golf, with his granddaughter, and having a conversation as though like nothing happened.
I've never seen my grandpa distressed or rattled, ever.
After the 34 felony counts were read out and the jury of his peers found him guilty, he was doing this press conference in Trump Tower. There he was moments before he goes down the elevator to address the press. And the only thing he cared about was hanging out with Luke and Carolina, seeing their pictures, giving them hugs, having a good time with them.
1, 2, 3, 4.
We begin tonight with the passing of Ivana Trump, former President Trump's first wife and the mother of their 3 oldest children, Don Jr., Ivanka, and Eric.
The loss of my mother, that was one of the true times. I saw him at times pensive and sort of, retrospective.
Obviously, as soon as I heard it, I reached out and I called him that day, and this is the first time I've ever seen that guy busted up and not good.
It was so soft and sweet and so loving when Ivana passed. And you're just like, heart reached out to him because you could tell that he was like suffering, but he wanted to be strong for everyone else.
I was in there with my kids and trying to distract them. And he came in and you could see on his face the emotion, and you could see, we all kind of gave him his space at the casket. I don't know what he said to her, but he said some things to her there. That's a love that never diminished. I believe she loved him to the day she died, and I believe the same about him.
Tabloids were trying to figure out some sort of disparaging angle of this whole thing. They had just lost their mom, but their priority and his priority were his kids. He wanted to make sure that they were okay. The indictment brings felony charges against Donald John Trump.
He called me in this moment as he's on the way to have this mugshot taken. He's like, I don't know, honey, what do you think? What do you think about all this? And I was like, I think you're a badass. I think the fact that you're going in right now, you're showing up. And he was like, let me tell you, there's a lot of support out here. There are people lining the streets excited to see me. I don't know really how to feel about it, but we're going to go do it and it's going to be okay. I was like, gosh, what a great attitude to have when you're on the way to have a mugshot taken, which, by the way, greatest mugshot in history, rivals even Elvis Presley's.
When I saw you got a mugshot, it was crazy. I went online and bought one right away.
The idea of the mugshot was obviously to try to demoralize him, to try to just be as debasing, to perp walk him in and parade him in for these nonsense charges. It was sort of interesting how that all really backfired. How could you ever top that photograph? Defiant, strong.
Trump crushed it. He smashed the mugshot, okay? He looked amazing. He's like mean mugging it, looks gorgeous, hair is perfect. And he turns it into one of the most iconic photographs that this country has seen.
Do you respect Trump? I think that his gangster is ridiculous.
There is no one more gangster than Trump. I like to think that I have thick skin, but what that guy goes through on a daily basis.
It went everywhere. And a moment that was supposed to be just sort of soul crushing ended up being an exhilarating, powerful moment that helped move his whole political movement forward.
To get the vote behind Trump, we got a flood of men teaming up with RFK. We're all loving it. Calling everyone.
Did you like my mugshot? Did you like the mugshot? Lovely.
We had enough of them. World Economic Forum took over governments. Everything was going as planned till God uncovered
The biggest selling mugshot ever.
Suffering, the whole world's praying for Trump. We had enough of them. Raising up a week.
My father's mugshot stands for a system that will do anything to take out a political adversary. That mugshot's beloved by millions and millions of people.
Green Acres is the place to be. Farm living is the life for
I think my father's sense of humor is sometimes underappreciated.
The hostile takeover of Donald Trump on Vince McMahon.
He understood what we were doing out there, and he understood that you
Yeah.
feel live and you listen to the crowd, and it's all instinct, and he's got a great feel for timing.
probably the most inappropriate was at my grandmother's, at his mother's funeral. We're there, and yeah, it's obviously an incredible, somber moment. I remember, my grandmother on my mother's side, we call her Bobby, from the Czech Republic. She's still around, hanging in there at like 97. Bobby walks up, and we're all kind of, everyone, he goes, "You know what, Bobby? It's rough, but, you're next." Now, when we see our grandmother, and he's still kicking 20 years later, it's like, you're next. Turns out she wasn't next.
He loved music. My father always used to say that in another life he would have been a Broadway musical producer.
When I heard I was on the cover of Rolling Stone, that was an honor for me. I wish I had the guitar. I wish I had that kind of talent.
You're quite friendly with President Trump.
Well, actually, yes, he's been nothing but nice to us. Very controversial figure.
Yeah.
Now he DJs at Mar-a-Lago.
I heard you're becoming quite the DJ here at Mar-a-Lago. I heard you're spinning.
You DJ? Would you believe it? I love music.
So do you actually spin, or
no? I don't spin,
what do you
but
use?
I pick the ones I like. I don't want to.
What's your go-to banger on the
Well, I have a lot of them. You know what gets them rocking? YMCA.
When you look at what he's gone through, again, whether it's impeachment, whether it's them trying to break him, trying to bankrupt him, trying to jail him, trying to kill him, he's still the same guy. He's still out there fighting every day. It doesn't stop him. He doesn't let go of the gas. Let's just see where it is. He fights. That resolve, that kept us out of wars. That resolve got us peace deals. That resolve fixed our economy. That resolve kept dictators in check. That resolve is the leadership we need as a country. When America is strong, the rest of the world is peaceful. We've seen that now. We've also seen the corollary to that. We've seen what happens when America is weak. We've seen what happens when we exude weakness, when our leaders are weak, when they're infirm, when they're incompetent. The predators will pounce. We have a chance to actually reclaim that power with someone who does have that resolve, who has that resolve quite literally under fire.
They could strip him of his company. They can strip him of his properties. Nothing is going to keep this man from fighting for this country. There's only going to be one option left to stop him. And we knew that when the lawfare didn't work, that's exactly what they were going to do.
They've tried everything to take out our family. They've tried everything to take him out.
You jump to that thought of, what can they do to try to stop him? Well, they could try to take his life.
This is a big crowd.
Don had taken his eldest daughter, Kai, out on a little daddy-daughter, fishing thing on the boat.
I was out with my daughter. We got the rare call from my 17-year-old daughter. "Dad, can we go fishing?" It was a Saturday afternoon. I'm like, wow, who are you and what have you done with my daughter? That doesn't happen very often.
Eric and I we were at home in New York at our house, and I was getting dinner ready for my kids. I remember holding the carrot, and I looked down to peel it, and right as I was about to look down, my daughter goes, "Oh, look who's on TV, Mom."
And I'll never forget, Luke and Carolina were on my lap, or were sitting next to me. We're on the couch. I was looking at my laptop, and I hear those shots, and I instantly knew what was happening.
If you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
I ran in the room with Eric, and it felt like an eternity, like everybody did. He was just on the ground, and we didn't know what was going on. For probably 45 minutes, held in my hand the carrot and the peeler, and I didn't even realize it because I was in shock.
My heart dropped and just sick to my stomach and tears in my eyes and just saying, "Oh dear God." But the first thing that I had to do was to call Don Jr. and tell him that his father had been shot.
I got the call, that your father had been shot. And
We heard the news that he was shot, and no one really knew for like 90 minutes what happened.
Right away, I knew it was an assassination attempt. And it just upset me so bad when I saw them trying to kill our president that I lost it.
He says that he looked down at his hand and he saw the blood, and he knew he'd been shot. And all he was thinking about in that moment was letting people know that he was okay. And he says that he looked out at people and people were crying and they were upset and they thought that he was dead.
If somebody takes a shot at a sitting or former president of the United States, you as an American, we're all Americans, should be pissed and disgusted that somebody tried to assassinate president of the United States.
Instinct just kicks in. Gets shot in the face, and 5 seconds after that, he comes back defiant, ready to fight. I mean, that's my father. Man, you are the biggest badass I know.
Hold up.
Fight, fight, fight.
The man got shot on TV. What's he do? Stood up and he goes, fight.
That moment, you can't fake.
Hold on. I don't know what's going on. Give me a second. I'll fix it. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that, guys. I can't even get over to my tab right now. Oh, here we go. All right. All right. I think we're back. Sorry for the mishap there, guys. I don't know what happened there. Oh, with only a few minutes to go, too. Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to have to do it. 117. Give it a second to catch up. You guys enjoying this? This is awesome. Yeah, sorry about the video freeze. We didn't miss too much. OX, you silly. All right, let's do it this way. I remember where
Poll that matters is the one on election day.
Right there. We'll catch back up in just a second. There we go.
We heard the news that he was shot, and no one really knew for like 90 minutes what happened.
Right away, I knew it was an assassination attempt. And it just upset me so bad.
Thanks for hanging with
when I
me.
saw them trying to kill our president that I lost it.
He says that he looked down at his hand and he saw the blood, and he knew he'd been shot. And all he was thinking about in that moment was letting people know that he was okay. And he says that he looked out at people and people were crying and they were upset and they thought that he was dead.
If somebody takes a shot at a sitting or former president of the United States, you as an American, we're all Americans, should be pissed and disgusted that somebody tried to assassinate president of the United States.
Instinct just kicks in. Gets shot in the face, and 5 seconds after that, he comes back defiant, ready to fight. I mean, that's my father. Man, you are the biggest badass I know. Fight, fight, fight.
The man got shot on TV. What's he do? Stood up and he goes, fight.
That moment, you can't fake that emotion at all. And for like, it really showed how he cared for America.
See him stand up after being shot in the head and say, fight, because he believes in this country. He wanted all of us to see that he was okay. That did it. That changed me.
I personally thought at that moment that he won the election, because everyone knows now that they're really trying to take him out.
Fight, fight, fight. And it made me love him even more, because that's who he is. He's a fighter. He fights for us. And he's my hero. He's been my hero. And he became a superhero that moment.
It completely changed my mindset. And I went, you know what? If people like me don't speak up and quit being a coward and quit being scared and quit being silent, I told my wife, I said, I'm not suicidal. I love life. And you know what? I want to live forever, which I will through my Lord and Savior. But at the end of the day, that pissed me off so much that I had to say something. I had to speak up. It doesn't matter who it is, Kamala Harris, Biden, Clinton. It doesn't matter who it is. That's wrong. That they crossed the line with me. So from that point on, I decided that I just couldn't remain silent. Sorry, man. That's a tough question for me. Yeah, just a second. I'll be good. Just 2 seconds. Yeah, that really pissed me off. I saw it happen to John Kennedy, actually, when I was in elementary school, too.
Earth to God, come in, God. I know you're there, hearing our prayers wherever you are. We need you now to send your love down.
I'm a man of faith. God was looking down. It was divine intervention. God was looking down, and I get emotional when I say it. He was looking down on President Trump saying, "You're the one." I believe a higher power was saving him for us, to save us.
We need your light, we need your love to heal the world you made, and save us now in our darkest hour with your amazing grace.
He believes deeply in God. He prays. And there's no question that on that day, God was looking down. And you better believe that somebody was watching over him.
That moment in time, I really believe that he had the blessing of Christ and God over him to protect him and to save him. God bless.
I do believe that there was an act of God on that day because it was a close call, and I believe a higher power definitely saved him that day.
For me, that was like one of those, real solidifying moment. I mean, a big part of faith is maybe you never know, you just have to have faith. But that was one of those, like, okay, now I know. That was the hard evidence I needed to believe, more so than I do, that there's something out there. And I think he feels very much the same way.
If you believe in God, you believe in God more. God thinks that I'm going to straighten out our country. Our country is so sick and it's so broken. Our country is just broken. And maybe that was the reason.
I think it's God's way of saying that the assignment is not finished.
There's a reason for him being here. We need him. We got to have him. If not, our democracy, our world, the 7.5 years that I served is all for nothing.
He knows he got a second chance at life. And I think you saw that on his face walking into the convention on that Monday night.
Earth to God, come in, God. Earth to God, come in, God.
If the events of last Saturday make anything clear, it is that every single moment we have on earth is a gift from God. America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, brighter, happier, stronger, freer, greater, and more united than ever before.
I told my wife, Scott, I said, get ready, because once I start speaking, I can't shut up.
But what happened last week when they took a shot at my hero and they tried to kill the next president of the United States? Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
He's an unbelievable warrior. You know, Dana White said it best.
I'm in the tough guy business, and this man is the toughest, most resilient human being that I've ever met in my life.
It doesn't matter whether you're black or brown or white or whatever the hell color you are, it doesn't matter. We are all Americans, and we're going to pull together as Americans.
He is fighting to preserve the greatest set of ideas in our Constitution that our founding fathers so brilliantly put together. I think he's just legitimately concerned for the future, for his kids, for his grandchildren.
I truly believe the book hasn't been written yet about President Trump.
People will always know he was the one guy that gave it all up to make this country great again.
Donald Trump was a unicorn. He was that anomaly. He was physically strong enough, but he had the means and he had the voice and he had the desire to fight back. And I truly believe that he'll go down in the rolls of history among the greatest presidents that we've ever had. His story will be the greatest comeback in modern day politics.
My father used to have an expression, to retire is to expire.
I think his legacy will be, I finished what I said I was going to do.
I think his goal is to leave the world a better place than what he came in.
Deep down, I think he truly knows he's the only person who can do the job necessary.
If you had asked me this 16 years ago, I would have said success. If you had asked me 4 years ago, I probably would have said that his greatest legacy he would want was to be known as a patriot. But if you ask me now, I think he wants his greatest legacy to just be father, husband, brother, son.
You gotta capture it all, baby. Come in. Nice to meet you.
Freud said that there were two things in life, love and work. If you had to choose one, which would you choose?
I don't think I could choose one. I think I choose both, and I think they can both work hand in hand. In fact, I think your love can be increased, and I think your work can be increased by the other. I believe they can each increase the value of the other.
But if you had to choose one, if it was a life and death situation, which one would you choose?
I would probably choose love.
You would?
I think so, yes.
Folks signed up to hear straight sing. Write this down on every cane. Drop a needle down on the vine. Hold windows down, just driving 4 miles. It feels like it's been a while. When the American dream was a Cadillac and the red, white, and blue showing how you act. Things you got, you worked for. You didn't think twice. Got not locked in your door. When people
He knew it was your birthday coming up? What do you say to him?
Thank you. I love you. I want my country back. Your glory down on Main. Everybody knows your first name. Friday night lights football game. These days just don't feel the same. Sunday morning spent in church, taking things for what they're worth.
Amazing documentary. Thank you guys so much for being here to share this with us.
That was really, really good. That was amazing.
Absolutely, guys. Wow. And I'm so
I didn't know I was
happy.
muted this whole time, by the way. I'm sitting here giving commentary. It was truly amazing. I cried a bunch of times.
Right. It was. We say that a lot. 2020, blessing in disguise. It sucked, but we made it through. We're just a couple of days away from changing that previous mistake with a better, bigger, better team and more people on our side and more people awake and aware. Yes. Where am I at? Oh, I put those up already. Yes, they are. And inside, beauty comes from within. God always has a plan and a purpose for everyone. And even in the midst of the darkest hour, even if we don't understand, can't see it, he carries us through when we feel we can't walk another step. And it's so true.
Very true.
And just keep that inner faith no matter what's happening, right, wrong, good or bad. Right now, it's going to happen. It's happening for the best reason, and things will work out if you keep that inner faith. Just keep believing in yourself, keep believing in the higher power, and it will happen. And it will happen. I know we all have our moments. I have them as well, and that's what carries me through. Yeah, cry out of sadness if he loses, cry out of happiness if he wins. Who are you voting for? Which side are you on? It's only the establishment versus the rest of us. And if you're awake, aware, and resisting, you are part of the anti-establishment, and you are here. We are in this together.
Y'all better be with us on Tuesday night, because I'm going to be on panel with him, and you know I'm going to be insane.
Yes, absolutely, Kenny. Absolutely.
The
Cool. Good to
nerves.
see you, Count. Good to see you, buddy. All right. Absolutely, Lamb's Grace. My pleasure. Zach, what's up? How you doing? Okay. We talked Zach into it. Good. All right. Yeah. Great documentary. He already did it. All right. Check out Zach's channel for good tunes and good times. I voted for Trump and all Republican last week. Beautiful.
Woo-hoo.
Beautiful. You're already insane, Shelly.
I might be insane, but I ain't crazy.
Oh, man. Thank you, Kenny. Thank you so much for being here and for all you do. It's awesome. I promised that I'd show you guys. There it is. The big thumbnail for the big night.
I love it. Yeah.
Maybe one of my best ones yet. I don't know. We'll see.
Win, no matter what.
That's right. That's what we're gonna do. And this, when the stream ends, it will redirect you to this stream on election night where you can hit a thumbs up and hit notifications to make sure you get it. We'll be going live at 6 p.m. We've got a long night ahead of us. We're gonna get in here early and do some talking and hang out and commune and just ride this thing out together. The ups and downs. I think polls close at like 7, I guess, on the East Coast from what I'm seeing. Georgia, other places.
I thought it was
like
8 o'clock.
7, 8. I guess we'll start knowing pretty soon. But I don't know. I'm going to be too antsy to wait. But I mean, if something changes, I'll move it to 6:30 or something. I don't know. We'll see. But right now, I just put it at 6. So just to came in here late. That was beautiful. Thanks so much, man. I feel so happy. Me too. That's what it was all about. Jesus reigns. That's what it was all about. It was getting us ready. And as I said, that we were going to take this tonight off. And when I saw this had been released, I was like, we have to show this before the election. This has to be shown because it was going to show that side of Trump that they want to bury, the humanitarian, the good person, the generous person, the person who is leading by example in so many ways. And what they've done to him over the years, it's just been, the establishment, the corrupt, dirty, filthy establishment, the evil establishment has done to him. It's just been so unfair. He will have his day and we will be there with him for sure. Communing. They need to give that a better name. Yes, they do. Well, we'll be gathering together. We'll be hanging out. How about that? Oh, I did the same thing, Heidi. I did the same thing. Yeah, I was like, well, all these incumbents, nobody's running against them. I was like, I'm not voting for them. I'm not giving my consent.
That's weird. They close at different times.
Oh yeah, what are you seeing?
Like Georgia closes at 7, but Pennsylvania closes at 8. Arizona closes at 8 their time, 10 our time. Michigan closes at 8 in one of their time zones because they have 2 time zones that run through Michigan, and 9 Eastern. They're going 8 p.m. Eastern and 9 p.m. Eastern. So, okay. So they're basically all going for like their version of 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Except Georgia closes at 7. Why does Georgia close at 7?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
And they're still going to say they have time to do it. Well, North Carolina closes at 7:30. That's pretty much it. Those are the only like weird ones. Because they even put out an article saying you have to play hopscotch when it comes to polling time closures. That's weird. That's one of those efficiency things they can do. Like they all start at the same damn time and they all end at the same damn time. If it has to be per, like their time zone, fine. But within time zones, it should be open, close, everybody across the board the same. Ridiculous.
Just for a little bit more of a good feel here, to wrap up the evening,
Ooh.
I'll play a little last minute polling news. There's some weirdness with what's that gambling one, Poly Market today, but
yeah.
So I don't know what's going on with that. I think they're just kind of making that so people will vote in different ways. But we'll play this on super winning speed. But this comes from, and this guy does really good work. I like it. Election Time YouTube channel. And he just runs through the final polls real quick. And I think this will also give us a good feel leaving out the door here. So we'll put this on up and we'll take a look at it together. We can talk about it as we go. But I thought this was really cool. So I wanted to give us another feel-good moment, feeling good about Tuesday.
The 2024 electoral map based on current polling averages from all 50 states. These are
based on current polling averages from all 50 states.
Following today, we only have 2 days left to go until the election, and basically all the major new polls.
I got this on
released.
1.5
speed. Really is it. We've been going over these polls for 4 years, and this is going to be the last time we cover them to see where Kamala Harris and Donald Trump stand on the path to 270 electoral votes. And so we're just going to dive right into it, starting off on the West Coast in Washington.
Mike, what's up?
22%, very similar to Biden's margin of victory from back in 2020. The state is going to be solid blue.
Okay,
However, in Oregon,
that's how it works. Good to see you, Mike.
From Hoffman Research. This is
Hi, honey.
But it still does show Harris leading by just 5. This is pretty concerning, but it's still going to be likely for the vice president in terms of margins. Anything over 15 is solid, 5 to 15 is likely, 1 to 5 is clean, and any margin less than 1% is going to be tilt.
Always blue.
Down in Kamala Harris's home state of California, she's actually ahead by just 23.7, even though Joe Biden won the Golden State by 29.2 4 years ago. And once again, this is Kamala Harris's home state. She served not only as California Attorney General, but also as a U.S. Senator from California for 4 years before becoming vice president. Next up in Nevada, we have our first swing state. This is the first of 7. The other ones, of course, being Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Now, the race in Nevada really is quite interesting because Donald Trump leads by 1% on average. We have 2 recent polls that have put Trump ahead by 6. I mean, these are startling margins for Democrats. The final New York Times poll, though, does have Harris leading by 3, but they always overestimate support for Democratic candidates. In general, though, Nevada has been really competitive over the last few months. Basically, since Joe Biden dropped out, it's been neck and neck between Harris and Trump here. But as right now, with just 2 days to go, it does seem that Trump has taken a slight lead in a state that no Republican has won since 2004. And so with a 1-point lead in favor of Trump, Nevada is going to be a lean Republican. Arizona is also going to be incredibly competitive. Here, Donald Trump leads by 2.9%. This is a shockingly high margin considering that Joe Biden carried the Grand Canyon State just 4 years ago. In 2020, he won Arizona by 0.3%. This was a huge victory for Democrats.
We know that was rigged.
Party had won Arizona going all the way back to 1996. Biden couldn't win North Carolina, but somehow he was able to flip Arizona. But today, it does seem that Trump is on track to easily win the state back. He carried it by nearly 4 points back in 2016. Polling in Arizona has generally favored Trump throughout the entirety of the election cycle, and as the election has neared, his lead has only grown. Arizona is also continuing on down to Colorado and New Mexico. We have
New Jersey in play. Let's go.
Double-digit margins back in 2020.
It is. They're tired of paying those prices.
By nearly 11. Today, Kamala Harris leads by just 11.5 in Colorado, and this is according to 2 Democratic internal polls. So these polls are definitely overestimating support for the vice president. In reality, she's probably winning by less than 10. But on our map, based on the polling average, Colorado is going to be likely blue. New Mexico is also going to be likely for the vice president, but just barely. She leads by 6.7%, right above the 5-point threshold. Kamala Harris's performance in New Mexico hasn't been the greatest. She's winning by just half of Biden's margin from the last election, but this isn't too surprising as New Mexico has generally been trending to the right, with more and more Hispanic voters shifting in favor of the Republican Party. But for now, Democrats are going to be able to hold on to New Mexico. It's going to be likely blue. Moving on now to Texas. This is a huge prize for Trump. It's a must-win state, and he needs to win it by at least 6 points if he wants to remain competitive elsewhere on the map. Now, the former president won the Lone Star State by 5.6% in 2020, even though the polls suggested he would only win by 1. Today, Trump leads by 7.2% in the polls. He is the clear favorite, with the most recent New York Times and CNN College poll putting the former president ahead of Harris by a whopping
That would be
double-digit
amazing,
margin.
Dark.
Trump's performance this time
Yeah,
has been
that
so
would
much
be
better
amazing.
than it was in the last election, and so Lone Star State is no doubt going to be likely red. If the polls underestimate him once again, which they likely will, Trump is on track to win by at least 10 points or more. Before we continue, nearly 70% of you guys are not subscribed, so please subscribe right now for more content like this leading up to the election on November 5th, where I'll also be hosting my 2024 election night coverage here on YouTube starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We're now going to get these states in the middle of the country here out of the way. They're obviously all going to vote for Donald Trump, as they have in the last 2 cycles. Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, North and South Dakota, Kansas, and Oklahoma all solid red. In Nebraska, the state at large, as well as its 1st and 3rd districts, are going to be safe Republican, but in the 2nd district, we do have a slightly more competitive race.
That's right.
This is because the 2nd district encompasses just Omaha and its surrounding suburbs, so it's a pretty urbanized area. Kamala Harris leads by a 10-point margin on average. However, this is mainly because the district lines have changed from what they were back in 2020. The district definitely favors the Democrats a lot more than it did 4 years ago when Joe Biden carried the 2nd district by just under 7 points. The 2nd district of
Yes.
Nebraska is going to be likely blue, and then with Alaska and Hawaii,
You're
they're both
right.
going to be pretty safe for both candidates. Alaska solid red, Hawaii solid blue. We're now going to shift our attention up to the Midwest. This really is where the election is going to be decided. We all know that Trump is going to dominate in the Sun Belt, but if he wants to clinch 270 electoral votes, he is going to have to win one of the 3 former blue wall states of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Kamala Harris has to win all 3 if she wants to have any chance of becoming elected the 47th president. And so we're going to begin up in Minnesota, where Kamala Harris' performance simply hasn't been up to par with what we saw from Joe Biden 4 years ago. He carried Minnesota by 7.1%. And
She
he
has
wasn't running
no
with the
chance in
state's literal
Pennsylvania.
governor. Kamala Harris right now is
Hold 'em
running
off,
with Tim
Lamb.
Walz as her running mate, and she doesn't even lead in Minnesota by 5 points. The most recent Rasmussen Reports poll has her ahead by 3%. We also have a Minnesota Post poll that had her leading by 3. I mean, Kamala Harris' performance in the home state of her running mate has been quite abysmal. She's never led by more than 7 points. If she can't even outperform Biden in the home state of her vice presidential candidate, she's really not going to do well elsewhere on the map, and especially in the Midwest. She should worry about Wisconsin and Michigan, Pennsylvania especially. But for now, just with Minnesota, it's going to be lean blue. This is not where Kamala Harris wants to be. Down in Iowa, there actually have been some concerns here for Donald Trump. We have a new Ann Seltzer poll. This is the one that's been getting a lot of attention online. It was conducted with the Des Moines Register, and it shows Harris up by 3%. But there's serious problems
Exactly.
with this poll. I mean, just with the crosstabs, you'll see that the issues that voters care about most are
We're gonna make it
abortion and not
happen.
things like the economy or immigration. That is definitely interesting to see, and it's definitely out of line with what we generally hear from voters across the country. However, this new Emerson poll, which was conducted just a day later, this is much more representative of how people are actually feeling in Iowa. Trump winning by 10%, that would not be surprising at all. I mean, just look what's happened in the last 2 cycles. In 2016, people did think that Hillary Clinton had a good chance in Iowa. She lost it by nearly double digits. In 2020, people thought Joe Biden would do a lot better. He might even get within 1 or 2 points, or maybe he'll even win Iowa entirely. Some people were definitely saying that, but he barely performs any better and loses the state by 8.2%. Today, Trump is going to win Iowa by his largest margin yet, as the state continues to shift to the right. But for
Go
now, based
Iowa.
on solely the polling average, Iowa is going to be likely red. Next up in Wisconsin, Kamala Harris has taken a very slight lead, with some of the new polls favoring her just a little more. The New York Times had Harris up by 2, Mayor's College, Harris up by 2 as well. Trump actually took the lead over the last few weeks. He was ahead basically in late October, but now as we enter November, Kamala Harris is in a slightly better position, but still much worse than where she was in August and September, when it was almost a lock that she was going to win Wisconsin. But the issue for Kamala Harris right now is look at what we saw in 2016 and 2020. 8 years ago, Hillary Clinton led by 5.5%. She lost Wisconsin entirely. 4 years ago in 2020, Joe Biden led by 6.6%. He won the state by just 0.63. Wisconsin polls have always heavily overestimated Democrats, and so Harris being ahead by 0.3% isn't that big of a deal for Donald Trump. But for the purposes of the map, the state of Wisconsin is going to be tilted blue. Before we continue, I want to tell you guys about Polymarket, the world's largest prediction market, where you can track for election right now using the QR code just a little bit over the last week. Michigan, we have another state where Kamala Harris's performance has increased just a little bit over the last week. She now leads by 0.6%, although the most recent New York
Come
Times
on,
poll
Michigan, you
is
can
showing
do
a
it.
tie. If you look at polling and results in 2016 and 2020, you once again see a huge discrepancy. In 2016, Clinton led by 5 as she lost the Wolverine state entirely. In 2020, Joe Biden led by 5.1. He won by just 2.8. And so definitely you have to take polling in Michigan with a huge grain of salt as well. Historically, they've always underestimated Donald Trump. If you look at where we were just a week ago, Trump was in a pretty good position. He led throughout most of October, but just like in Wisconsin, as the election nears, Harris is in a slightly better position. Ultimately, this race could go either way, but based on just the numbers right now, Michigan is also going to be tilted blue. Illinois and Indiana are going to be solid states, though, solid for their respective candidates. Illinois, of course, solid for Harris. Indiana, solid for Trump. In Ohio, though, we do have a slightly more competitive race. Donald Trump leads by 6.9%. This is still a pretty big margin, considering that in 2016 he led by just 1.6, and in 2020 he led by 0.2. Even though both times he carried the Buckeye State by 8 points or more, Trump has performed very well in Ohio over the last 2 election cycles, considering that it was an Obama state in both 2008 and 2012. In 2024, Kamala Harris has no chance of flipping it. Iowa is going to remain red. Donald Trump is probably going to win by upwards of a 10-point margin. So Ohio is going to be likely red based on the numbers. It's probably not going to be solid when all the votes are counted. Trump's probably not going to win by 15 points or more, but he can definitely get close. We've now finally arrived at Pennsylvania. this is the state that everyone is talking about. We've known for quite a while that it's very likely that the Keystone State will decide the next president. If you look at where both candidates are right now, Trump is dominating in the Sun Belt, but he is going to need one of the three upper Midwestern states to clinch 270. Kamala Harris would perform better in Wisconsin and Michigan, although this is definitely still up in the air. Donald Trump can definitely win these two states as well, but he is going to win Pennsylvania first before its two Western neighbors. And looking at polling in the Keystone State, Donald Trump is in a relatively strong position. He leads by 0.3%. Yes, this is a close margin, but Atlas Intel, the most accurate pollster from 2020, they have Trump leading by 2, and the New York Times, which always favors the Democrats, they show a complete tie between it.
And I hope so.
Pennsylvania polling has always been very close, even when Joe Biden was in the race before that disaster of a debate performance. Donald Trump and Joe Biden were neck and neck. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, we saw a similar pattern. But with the election just 2 days away, it does seem that Trump is going to hold on to his lead. Pennsylvania is going to be tilted red. If Trump can win the Keystone State, the pathways for Kamala Harris are significantly more narrow. Moving up now to the Northeast, we'll begin in New York, where Kamala Harris leads by 17
We got some
points.
Sizzy
New York
Raiders.
struggles to get above a 50
Right.
point
Welcome, Sizzy Raiders.
Welcome.
It's slightly better. And then in New Jersey, Kamala Harris leads by 16 on average. Democrats are still feeling the impact of Bob Menendez, but as of right now, the Democratic Party is in a
How come I
stronger
didn't see
position
it?
than they were just a few months ago, but
I
New
didn't
Jersey was
either.
considered to be potentially competitive. And so New York and New Jersey are barely going to scrape by as solid blue
Hello,
states.
Thank you,
Kamala Harris is
Sizzy.
going to perform a lot better
friends.
in Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island, along with Joe Biden's home state of Delaware, Maryland, and the District of Columbia. Moving up now to New Hampshire and Maine, Kamala Harris isn't looking too hot in the Granite State, where she leads by just 4%. This is just half of Joe Biden's nearly 8-point margin of victory from back in 2020. In fact, a new Rasmussen poll shows the vice president leading by just 1, so it really could go down to the wire. In Maine, the polling here has just been terrible. According to the average in the state as a whole, Harris leads by around 11 to 12 points. This is obviously good, but it's definitely far-fetched. There's no way Kamala Harris is going to outperform Joe Biden, who only won Maine by 9.1. In Maine's first congressional district, Harris leads
there it
by
is.
27
All right, cool.
points. Once again, this is completely unreasonable.
Had to
In the
refresh.
second district, Trump leads
There you
by
go.
1%. I mean, once again, these numbers are just completely wrong. Pan Atlantic and the University of New Hampshire are two of the most liberal pollsters out there, so you really can't trust the numbers in Maine. But as of right now, New Hampshire is going to be lean blue, which is relatively reasonable, while in Maine, the polls are definitely overestimating support for the vice president. Maine as a whole is currently lightly blue, its first district solid blue, and the second district lean red. Coming down to the south now, this is
Watching
where
the
we're gonna
final
finish up the
polls
map.
here,
The region where
getting
Trump
some
is
good
fully
news
dominating.
in.
He's easily going to win Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, and South Carolina. This leaves us with 4 more relatively competitive states. We'll begin up top in Virginia.
Anybody think
The vice
Virginia
president
might
leads by
flip?
just 5.8%. This is not where she wants to be. The most recent Rasmussen poll has her ahead by just 2 points.
She's
Her average
smart.
is half of Biden's margin
hope
from
so.
2020 when he carried the state by 10.1%. Virginia has been shifting to the right, with the state electing a Republican governor in 2021. So Democrats definitely have a lot to worry about here, but they are the slight favorites. Virginia is going to be likely blue. Trump has also been quite dominant in North Carolina, where he leads by 1.5%. This is very different from 2020 when the polling data predicted a victory for Biden, but he still lost by 1.3%. North Carolina is actually the only one of the 7 battleground states that Trump actually won against the incumbent president 4 years ago. And there's no doubt he is going to win North Carolina again. Just look at the spread of polls here. He leads by pretty significant margins in virtually every single one of them. He has also maintained a lead in the polling average throughout the entirety of the 2024 cycle. There was never a point where Kamala Harris or Joe Biden were ever ahead. Trump is going to win the Tar Heel state for a 3rd time in a row. North Carolina is
go.
going to be lean red, with Trump ahead by just over 1%. Down in Georgia, this is another state where Trump is simply dominating. I mean, there's no way Harris is going to win. There's no way she's going to repeat Joe Biden's success from 2020 when he became
Joe
the first
Biden,
Democrat to win each state
asterisk,
since 1992. It was
success.
the closest race of the year, and it was a historic victory for Joe Biden, and it will be historic because it will be known
Asterisk.
as a fluke. Because Kamala Harris is going to lose Georgia. She's behind by 2.3% in the polling average. Only one recent poll has Trump behind, and that is the one
Thanks
conducted
for an
by the New York
overflowing
Times.
toilet.
Once again, they always post the most polls out there. If Harris is leading by 1,
Both
she's going to
failing.
lose by at least 2.
Anyway.
Georgia definitely favors Trump. Just look at how his lead has grown over the last few months, especially as we entered the last half of October, coming now into November. Georgia is still fundamentally a Republican state. It is still generally conservative, even though it voted for Joe Biden by a very narrow margin 4 years ago. This time, Trump is going to win Georgia back. It is also going to be lean red. And last but not least, in Florida, this is the last state to fill in on our map. It's going to be the one that gets either Trump or Harris over 270. And looking at the polls, Trump is in a very good position. He leads by 8.5%. This is incredible. Just
He
compared to
better be.
and 2020. 8 years ago, Clinton led by 0.9. She lost Florida by 1.2. In 2020, Joe Biden led by 1.4. He actually lost by 3.4. So we see a huge difference between the polling numbers and the actual results, and they always favor Trump a lot more than the polling does. And today, if Trump is leading by nearly 10 points, he might even get to that double-digit margin, but it's going to be likely Republican no matter what. It's not going down in Florida. He is going to easily win it for a 3rd time, and it's going to be by his largest margin ever.
There we
This is the
go.
2024 electoral map based on final polling averages from every single state. Donald Trump is on track for a victory with 287 electoral votes. Kamala Harris at 251. Yes, it is close, but Trump is going to flip Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, and Pennsylvania to secure victory, while Kamala Harris is only on track to hold on to Wisconsin and Michigan. Now, I do expect these polls to slightly overestimate Democrats, as they typically do. Of course, Trump is going to do a lot better than a lean margin of victory in Iowa. He could also potentially win Wisconsin and Michigan as well. I also wouldn't be surprised if Virginia was more competitive too. But as of right now, the polling data has consistently put Trump ahead. He is in a strong position to win back the presidency. It's probably not going to be by a landslide margin, but a win is a win. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe right now for more content like this leading up to the election on November 5th. Make sure
All right. Thank you. That's some good stuff to go out on right there, huh? Beautiful documentary
It is.
and a very hopeful poll predictions there going on. These guys who do polls like this guy, election time, and Red Eagle Politics, these guys are aces. They're much better at looking at things and analyzing things than those jokers in the mainstream media who get up there and just try to convince you that corruption is going to win again. Not
we
this
gotta
time.
be too big to rig. Too big to
Too
rig.
big to rig. That's right. Well, man, I tell you what. Hey, has anybody been watching the Penguin series? Has anybody been watching that?
Well, we know I have.
Well, we have. We've been watching it. It's so good. I mean,
It is. It really
is good, man. I mean, it's like I changed the subject from off the election and this great Trump documentary to that. But that's what we're gonna go do right now. We're gonna is it the season finale?
Yes, I believe
We're gonna go
so.
watch the season finale right now. But man, it is so good. If you haven't seen it, it's worth like binge watching on HBO Max or your favorite pirate website. I can give you a name of one if you want. If you haven't seen it yet and you aren't subscribed to it. Let me see. Let me give you the name of one of my favorites here. And you can watch it yourself, man. I'm telling you, it's really good. It's not like what you expect. It's not like some campy superhero comic book show at all. It's more like The Sopranos. It really is. It's really good. It's more
It
like
is
a
very
mafia.
dramatic. It will take you in. Like, you get invested in the people really quickly.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I'm currently watching www.4.123moviesfree.net. If you go there, that works. And you'll be able to pick that series up there and you can watch it. Just click through a few spammy ads and you'll be on your way. Penguin is awesome, says Lex. Lex, what's up? I'm a little behind. I need to find time to catch up. Man, it's so good. Have you seen it? Have you watching it, Dorothy? Are you watching it? Have you anybody else out there watching Penguin? Dude, it's so good. I mean, I'm telling you, it's like there's no wokeness, there's no weirdness. It's just like Sopranos in Gotham City, man. I'm telling you, it's like it's a whole new take on the characters. It'll make you want to go watch the new Batman.
Yeah, you
movie.
might want to watch the Batman movie first.
And that one's like it too. I mean, it's like it's probably the best take I've seen in my life on these characters. And I thought I'd mention it since we're gonna go watch the finale right now. I'm excited about it. But I did want to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight, and say that, man, keep praying. We're gonna do this thing. If you haven't voted, go out and vote. Get some people to vote. Show them Line in the Sand. The BitChute documentary link is in the description. Just go up below that long ass description and you'll get there. Make sure you show it to people. Make sure you watch it. It gives you so much information. I'm not going to go on and on about it, but
the Eagles won.
It's a real red pill. Yes, the Eagles
You
did
didn't
win.
tell me.
Yeah, well, you know, we should have won by a lot more. But anyways,
Yeah, well, they do the Cowboys next week, right? So hopefully they'll slay them.
Yep.
I hate the Cowboys.
Anyways, not to get into football talk, but we're gonna because we all have our football teams. But but anyways, we're gonna I'll be back tomorrow night for Unrigged the Game. Well, we're reading Big Intel by J. Michael Waller. We're gonna do part 4, which is just 3 quick chapters. It's gonna be kind of sad because we're not gonna do much reading tomorrow night, but I got an interview with him, a new interview that we'll watch a good amount of that. And we'll have a short night. We'll have a short night because we have a big night on Tuesday. We're going to be going for many hours. So we're going to save up our energy for that. But for those of you who are reading along Big Intel, J. Michael Waller with us, tomorrow night we're gonna tackle part 4, which is just like I said, like 3 chapters, and then we'll watch some of the interview and then we'll call it a night. But that's when I'll be back. Shelly, thank you so much for being here this evening. The co-hostess with the mostest.
Thanks
in the
for
house.
having me, honey.
Absolutely. We're going to get on out of here, guys. Thank you so much. So good to see so many faces. Mike O'Hagan, Lamb's Grace. I just want to shout people out. Darth Hideous. Thank you for showing up, guys. Count Derpula, Pothead Kenny, new folks in the crew here hanging out. And so many more. I don't want to leave any of the new folks out. Zach, thanks for coming and hanging out so much. And of course, all the regulars, the regular crew. Jesus Reigns. Jesus Reigns. Thank you so much. I saw somebody else up here too earlier. Had a. There you are. Gundam Zig. Thank you so much, Gundam, and everybody over there on Rumble. Rumble, you guys are rock. Thank you so much for being here and being part of this. We'll see you tomorrow night when we do Rumble exclusive with Unrigged the Game. You know, we'll have the kickoff show here, and then we'll go over there to read. That's what we do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Thank you so much again. And you guys have a great night.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. And until next time, stay based, get out and vote, share a line in the sand, pray for Trump, sprint to the finish line, play to the whistle.
Pray for us all. Oh.
That's right. And keep on winning.
Mwah.
The ones that want you back. Yes, I'm Mother Nature, all the spirit waits in life. Louder and louder, I hear the ancients roar. Faster and faster, labors over time. Tighter and tighter, all the lightning flash. Closer and closer, hear all you want us to be. Hear all you want us to be. Hear all you want us to take and be whole again. Oh, be whole again.
This is a friendship battle now.